slam the door on leaky homes in New Zealand.
I call Phil Twyford.
Thank you, Mr Chairman. I want to speak to Supplementary Order Paper 252. The owners of dwellings in multi-unit complexes are one of the big groups of homeowners who will not benefit under this package. And there are two main reasons. The first is that because of the Unit Titles Act requiring that there be a 75% majority before a decision can be made by a body corporate, for instance, to enter into this an agreement under the financial assistance package, it will be very difficult, just practically speaking, for apartment dwellers to reach that 75% threshold. The other reason is that banks will not lend to bodies corporate because the bodies corporate under the Unit Titles Act cannot mortgage that collective property. So about 24%, I think, according to Price Waterhouse Coopers, 25% of the population of affected homeowners will not be able to benefit from this package. That's about 5,500 dwellings, sir. So a really significant group of affected homeowners won't benefit, and what this supplementary order paper proposes is to insert a new section 125G subclause 2 that would allow the Crown to provide an indemnity or a Crown guarantee which would open the door for banks to lend to bodies corporate. And with respect to the Minister, it's not enough to say, well, bodies corporate can do this anyway, apartment dwellers are covered by this. The practical realities are that they're not. Actually, most apartment dwellers will not be able to benefit from this because the practical reality of getting the 75% majority of members of the body corporate to agree and to put up the money to do this is not going to happen, and it will be almost impossible as well to get the banks to lend. And this supplementary order paper would extend the government guarantee to allow the banks to lend to bodies corporate. And I don't know why, sir, I didn't really hear a substantive explanation from the Minister about why he's chosen to reject this amendment. He says it's not necessary. The government could provide it under the existing bill. I'm not sure that's the case, and that certainly wasn't what we heard from officials at Select Committee. It's not enough to say that apartment dwellers will have access to the Weathertight Homes Resolution Service. If that was enough, why bring this bill to the House and launch a whole new initiative? I think that the government should think again and give thought to this amendment, sir. Maybe it's because the budget parameters of the initiative have been set. Maybe it's the ginormous eye-watering cost of the package that the Minister's been telling us about. But if that's the case, well then tell the House. Otherwise, we are needlessly excluding about 1/4 of affected homeowners, sir, and I think we deserve a better explanation. I want to move on to Supplementary Order Paper 251, which the Minister said he lauds the intent of it, but doesn't agree with the substance. Well, one of the concerns that we've had about the package is that it extends a 50% subsidy, 25% from the government, 25% from the local authority, to a speculator who may have picked up a leaky home at knockdown prices and then gets a 50% subsidy from the ratepayer and the taxpayer, does a quick do-up job and then flicks it on and pockets a windfall profit, really courtesy of the ratepayer and the taxpayer. And given how great the unmet need is, given how many homeowners who are grappling with this problem are excluded from this package, it makes no sense to us on this side of the House that we are dishing out this generous subsidy to property speculators. And the Minister said that it wasn't practical to accept this amendment because, Mr Chair,
Phil Twyford.
it wasn't practical to accept this amendment because it would be excluding people who had, in good faith, purchased a leaky home in the knowledge that it was a leaky home. Well, the very point of that, sir, is that if they bought the house knowing it was a leaky home, then presumably that price would have been heavily discounted so as to recognise the reduced value caused by the defect and the damage. So I would have thought, sir, there's no need in that case for a 50% subsidy from the ratepayer and the taxpayer to go into the pockets of those people. And the Minister said in the past, look, we're just interested in getting these homes fixed, it doesn't matter who does them. Well, there are so many people that are excluded from this package who will continue to suffer without the assistance that this package offers, that I would have thought it made a lot of sense to exclude property speculators from it. The next issue that I want to address and respond to the Minister's earlier comments is about the Crown immunity. Now, the whole purpose of this bill, sir, is to legislate for the Crown immunity. I think if it wasn't for that, probably wouldn't need the legislation at all. It could all be done by policy and regulation, I think, and the role of the local authorities. Well, and the Minister makes the point that the Crown doesn't have to come to the table. It doesn't have to put hundreds of millions of dollars on the table because there is no established legal liability in this case. Well, that may be so. But the real point here is we're talking about the immunity that this bill gives to assessors from the Department of Building and Housing, who, thanks to this bill, have been relieved of their common law obligation to exercise a duty of care. And if the homeowner finds that the quality of work of the DBH assessors is substandard, heaven forbid that would be the case, if the homeowner finds that the assessment of agreed repairs was defective, and because of that cops a further liability, that homeowner will have no comeback. The Crown will not be held accountable for that. The Minister's own officials in the Department of Building and Housing advised him against this provision, against giving immunity to the assessors, but he has made a political judgment. And I see the Minister querying this, but it's in the regulatory impact statement. It's in the regulatory impact statement in black and white. It's that the advice was the giving immunity to the DBH assessors was not necessary and not justifiable. And furthermore, by giving those assessors immunity, it actually further exposes the builders and the architects who are going to be designers who are going to be required to do the remediation work. And the Minister himself, I think, has alluded to the fact that there is some doubt, actually, that there will be many builders, particularly in light of the looming skills shortage, there is some doubt, actually, that many builders will want to do this work at all, because the local authority is going to be indemnified, the DBH assessors are going to be indemnified, and that leaves only the builders and architects to carry the can if something goes wrong in the remediation work. So I am yet to hear from the Minister convincing explanation for this immunity other than we just don't want to do it. So I invite the Minister to take a call in the remaining time and tell us why, if there is a reason for the Crown immunity. I'll leave it there, sir, and I'll speak to my fourth SAP later, if that's all right.
Chair.